Welcome back to the LEC studio. You thought you were going to get another 90 seconds of casters talking about nonsense, but you're wrong. It's Splyce and Unicorns in Love. It's game 3. We're already into picks and bans. Hate to keep you waiting there at home, and it is the Kale, it is the Heimerdinger, it is the Pantheon, the GP, and now the Syndra as well. I'm still Dracos, this is Ender. Take it away, my friend.
Yep, Splyce chose blue here, and they're running it back, but this is the ban I was looking for. It's going to be a Xayah first pick, almost surely for the side of Splyce. UOL on the red side last time around, banned the Pantheon, the GP, and the Xayah, but the Kiana was left open, and I don't think that's something you can allow to happen. I'm especially happy to see that UOL have the strategy prepared to counter out Xayah and Rakan. Caitlyn Morgana, super powerful laning duo that can play to push, can play to knock down enemy plates, and deny really any engage attempts of the Rakan.
And of course, have to see, because we know how terrifying Xayah Rakan can be. See what the options are. The Karma locked in. Could be the blind pickable top laner for the likes of Vizicsacsi.
I think it might actually be support Karma here. Karma into the Morgana, otherwise surely if you're playing Rakan in bottom lane, you're surely going to pick that up in these two picks here. And I think Karma into Morgana has a pretty good laning phase. You can break through the Black Shield so easily. This is sort of a classic counter pick back in the day by having a mage-like support that doesn't have immediate CC. Morgana's Black Shield becomes effectively useless because you can burst that through that relatively quickly. And of course, the Mantra E on that Karma 2 is going to be a powerful team-fighting tool for the side of Splyce and try to allow Vizicsacsi's Gnar into these fights.
And I think we've played against so many Karma bots.
Ooh.
As we see the Camille locked in for boss, a comfort pick for him up against the Gnar of Vizicsacsi. But Karma is just a monster in lane. Mantra Q at level 1 is just so much damage. It feels like there's no way to dodge it. It's such a large hitbox, and you have to wonder if Edward is prepared for this kind of counter pick, if it even goes into the bot lane. Because at this point, the only thing that they probably know for sure is they're forcing a Rakan ban out from the side of UOL.
Regardless, Unicorns were expecting to play against Rakan, and I don't think that is what is going to happen today. Now, Camille into Gnar, pretty strong matchup for Camille. Can try to trade back with W in lane, even though you typically expect the ranged matchup to be able to have the push lead and push you into the tower. You eventually just outscale in a side lane. You pick up that Trinity Force, you're going to take some really nasty trades up against this Gnar, and of course, once you finish Tiamat, Gnar can't really threaten knocking at your tower and taking away plates anymore.
See what both teams want to do when they get into the early game. Junglers have not been picked up yet. Have been very often the priority for both these squads up until this game 3. See if Splyce want to limit the pool at all. Do they want to take that Skarner away? Not quite as scary as it was in the previous game. There's no Thresh to pair with it. It looks like it will be the Xerxe in the end. One of AHaHaCiK's more comfortable picks thus far in the tournament.
So they tried to remove the Xerxe as a very strong early game jungler, because one thing that a lot of European teams like to do specifically against the Caitlyn Morgana is try to split the map against them, because if you have the stronger jungle matchup and you're able to invade the enemy bot side of the map and force the enemy jungler up top side, it basically makes it so Caitlyn and Morgana don't get to play the laning phase. That's why I like AHaHaCiK trying to go for the stronger early game champion in the Elise, can duel a lot of other junglers, as well as set up for ganks against Vizicsacsi in the top lane. With the Camille, Elise can go for these plays and try to shut him down early.
Now I'm curious to see how exactly Xerxe wants to respond. Hecarim has been an interesting pick. He's pulled it out twice thus far in the tournament. Could look to play it here. But instead,
yes,
Olaf coming through, one of the most oppressive early game jungler in the game, next to a I don't know, aimbotting Nidalee at this point.
I think we need to expect level 1 maneuvers from Splyce here, because you have Gnar, you have Olaf for that ranged, slow chase down, even a Mantra Q from Karma. Very strong level 1 abilities to try and potentially split that map. If you know you want Vizicsacsi to play safe in lane and allow that Camille to push him in so he can't be ganked by this Elise, I think that's the aim you have to go for in these first few levels.
And of course, the Akali set up for with the TF bans, putting away that as an option in the lane. What is the option here for Nomanz in mid lane? Could be the Ryze. Looks like it will be in the end. So Nomanz going to try his hand at this matchup. Ryze, a champion that fell out of popularity for a long time, but has seen a bit of play thus far in the play-ins.
And for Nomanz, this guy almost always loves to go for these late game scaling options. Ryze with some buffs has helped his way clear earlier on in a lot of his matchups, but definitely will scale up into a pretty big monster. of just DPS machine later on in the game. Unicorns will have very strong 1-3-1 setup already with the push a Caitlyn can generate, as well as the tower threat you have and 1v1 potential of a Camille and a Ryze. But Splyce's comp has tools of their own to chase you down and really try to get onto that backline with both an Olaf and an Akali. I think it's going to come down to skirmishing on the side of Splyce, playing around some strong lanes and counter matchups in the early game, and then try to force fights before Boss and Nomanz can make too much go wrong in side lanes against you.
Once again, it feels like a story all about the early game. Last time it was about the early game for Splyce. They could not close out. Unicorns of Love turned that game around and took game 1. Game 2, story of struggles in draft, it felt like, for the Unicorns of Love. This time, feels like fire meeting fire, as both the Olaf and Elise will be looking to be the difference makers for their team in the early game. And now, just curious to see how this unfolds, Ender, because I think the Olaf, the Karma support without the extra gold, I can see the path for Splyce to win the game, but they faltered once on this one in game 1 already. A lot of pressure on them now in game 3 to pull ahead in the series.
We talk a lot about late game insurance when it comes to Splyce. In this game, they do not have it. Eyes on Splyce early on in this match. What can they get going at level 1? And for the Unicorns of Love, Nomanz, can he step up again and lead his team to a win?
And the fans of both teams saying it better than I ever could. It's a divided audience in-house today. Some are just innocent bystanders in the rivalry of Splyce versus UOL. You see them in the front there. They're in the back. Splyce fans coming in clutch, looking to pull ahead 2-1 in the series. Not there yet. And Ender. Now the Unicorns fans are back early game, once again, where we have to keep our eyes. Elise versus Olaf. Olaf, the great destroyer of early jungle matchups. Yep. What do you do in this case if you're an AHaHaCiK?
Well, I think in AHaHaCiK it's about knowing where Xerxe is on the map. And I'm honestly a little surprised not to see Splyce going for any kind of early move already. Still possible for Xerxe to pick up one buff and then run into the enemy jungle, because the matchup does become a little bit interesting, right? Because right now, AHaHaCiK's just sitting between 2 towers, not deciding yet where he wants to go in case they spot a late invade coming through from Splyce. So I already like this level 1 strategy coming through from him. He's going to wait until the last possible second, then probably go up towards his red buff. And they also place a ward on their own blue to spot out this invade. This is what we were expecting Dracos. But I think Unicorns of Love came in with a solid early game plan to spot it out.
Good early ward, but of course this is what you come to know expect from Splyce as well, in that they are very diligent about setting Xerxe up for success, and you can see it paying off. He has been a monster thus far in the early game of this series.
Okay, so right now, Unicorns, they did spot Xerxe on, or rather, Splyce know that there was a ward on the blue buff, so we'll see how that affects his early game pathing here. You can see, though, every single game, Xerxe has just been incredibly, incredibly dominant. As far as this early game pathing is concerned, I do like the move from an AHaHaCiK, and this is going to be the split map we talked about, right? You know, we said Xerxe wants to be able to silo off Innaxe and Edward. He is still seen, though, so these guys are like, we can't lane. I guess we can come and try to make your life miserable, but unable to steal it. Still might be able to find the collapse here if Nomanz were to roam over, but with mid lane priority too, Xerxe should easily be able to escape.
This is a very odd level 1 from the bot lane. That is a huge commitment of time.
But what can you do, right? Because if you walk into that bottom lane, you know you're going to get ganked. So you have to wait for Splyce to try and push this lane back against you. This is a level 1 plan, and this is why Caitlyn and Morgana never caught on in Europe. This has been a duo that we've seen in other regions as a really strong counter into Xayah and Rakan, but it relies so heavily on being able to push the lane early on and then trying to attack the tower. But Splyce came in, they said, okay, well, we're just going to lock in the Karma to make your Morgana really kind of useless, especially in this lane. Karma doing much more poke damage, making the Black Shield not going to be super effective. And then we split map on you at level 1, and now you don't get to play the game.
And also, it's just pretty impossible to dodge that Q.
No, you can't.
Very big skill shot. Now you can see Xerxe happy to have this additional pressure, can move in, can look to contest the Scuttle Crab. I think take this one for free, as you mentioned, divided map. But until Morgana gets level 6, not really going to be able to match the output of a Karma, and we might just see a dive here.
It's a level 1 Edward right now. Splyce going to be looking for the dive. They have a lot of damage.
All he has is pool. He levels up there, though. Maybe this can be it. Edward flashing backwards. Still looks like he's going to go down. That's first blood locked up, though. Innaxe, they're trying to fish for a kill. Kobbe might just get taken out. It's good juggling of tower aggro. Kobbe will not give his life, and that's 2 for 1 in favor of Splyce.
Really nicely done. Now an AHaHaCiK trying to make a response play up topside, but they don't have the hookshot, and the minions will block the cocoon.
AHaHaCiK gonna step forward, the flash out. They're gonna go, they can trade tower aggro, and AHaHaCiK has to go up. That means Boss does not want to take this tower aggro. He has to flash into safety. Vizicsacsi chasing him down. He's gonna get it. It's disaster for Unicorns.
Boss thought he could survive there, but the problem was, I believe his corrupting potion kept him in combat and dealing damage to Vizicsacsi. Vizicsacsi?
Coon, does he have enough damage? Vizicsacsi, of course, with fleet footwork, can't try to zoom away here, and AHaHaCiK gets nothing. Trades flash for flash. Not even, he just gives up flash on that one.
That was a really smart move, though, from
AHaHaCiK.
Vizicsacsi. Oh, wait. He's going to be okay, right? Okay. He'll get out there. But Vizicsacsi, you might wonder why he actually left the tower. It's because Boss had TP. So in the event that Vizicsacsi stays under tower, Boss TP's in, and the dive will work that second time around. So he ends up baiting the flash out of AHaHaCiK. But what I was getting at earlier is Boss was still dealing damage, and the turret registered him as dealing damage because of the corrupting potion. So AHaHaCiK just sort of left his top laner out to dry right there, and the dive goes horribly wrong while Xerxe comes bot lane one more time, the lane in a terrible position for UOL.
Luckily, Edward hits level 3. We'll have access to all abilities, Black Shield included. Just going to be forced to back away. We check in on the CS, though. You can see despite the dive happening topside, Camille actually giving up a lot of CS for that play. In the mid lane, Ryze, despite having push a few moments ago when we checked in there, is now getting pushed in and is falling behind.
It's been the story of the game, you know, or the series, really, with Humanoid winning all these mid lane matchups early on. Granted, in good matchups a lot of the time, but on this Akali in particular, he just looks so at home. One of his most played throughout the summer split, and able to play super aggressively in lane thanks to that Shroud. Now AHaHaCiK, he's bot lane to try and help reset this wave and reset it back to neutral here. Just give the pressure that Innaxe needs to try and bounce this one, but I don't think that they're going to give much room here as Norskeren walks forward and gets a big chunk down, just styling on AHaHaCiK as he walks into the gank, can't make it happen, and now Xerxe is in this bottom lane too.
Thanks for taking the play-by-play. And that's it, Ender. Has to walk away, 28 CS to 40. Kobbe with 2 assists as well.
And he can just walk into the enemy jungle now, too, right? This is what we call smart invading, smart counter-jungling from Xerxe. When he has priority in the lanes around him, he's walking on in here, and he's trying to bully. Make sure, hey, I'm going to take your Gromp camp. He took this one earlier, so it's going to give him a sizable amount of experience. Bot lane is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse for the Unicorns. I mean, this is just a shellacking.
You also just don't outscale. And if you've played Caitlyn, you know, hey, before first back, it's a lot of poke, but when your first back is boots 2, things have gone horribly wrong. You can see the difference in gold. Did not have enough money to pick up a BF sword. Yes, the extra movement speed will be very nice to have, but Caitlyn pokes a lot in lane, and without a BF sword, you're just not going to do much damage here. Boss now potentially the one in trouble.
Oh, get back here!
Into the wall. Vizicsacsi looking clean on the play, tanks the tower, walks away, and Game 1 was so UOL recovered in the late game, but now I just don't even think Splyce is giving them the chance.
Well, Splyce are just winning everywhere on the map right now. Well, AHaHaCiK is farming. His lanes are dying everywhere. This is the read I had on Splyce, too. Coming into the series, Splyce were the favorites. Game 1, you know, shook a lot of people's confidence, but they continue to dominate every single early game. It does definitely seem they will continue that trend. Xerxe knowing the respawn timer of the enemy blue buff. This is exactly how you need to play Olaf as well, especially in pro play. The champion falls off a cliff in the later stages of the game, so you need to play for enemy camp respawns. You know those when you do take those away. Use your priority lanes to continue to extend this lead more and more and more. And I don't think the control wards inside a river from Splyce are ever going to go away. They have the pressure all around this bottom side of the map. It's just going to continue to get worse and worse.
But you talked about some of the breakpoints. Maybe once Boss gets a Tiamat, this game can start to turn. Nomanz is doing okay in terms of these mid lane trades, Elise waiting in the darkness. Will not find an opportunity to land the Cocoon. But 3K gold lead, 7 minutes into the game. This is pretty much the definition of dominance. You could go bigger, but I don't think you go much smaller than that. Good news is Nomanz and AHaHaCiK can team up. They can look to make a play on top side. They have the Ryze ult available. They could walk face first with Xerxe. Xerxe just hitting level 6 is going to be huge. Will get spotted out. Boss now on the retreat. Vizicsacsi just going to knock 2 into the wall. He's going to take 1. He's going to look for a second. Boss now running for his life. Vizicsacsi gets 1. Nomanz should be able to get 1 back. But no, Triumph keeping him alive for now. AHaHaCiK, they're trying to escape. Desperate to get out of this one. No CC left. UOL will get out with 2, but that could have been a disaster.
It's a crucial kill there for the Unicorns, even though Chachi finds the solo in the 1v3. So now Edward makes his way to the top lane as well. Strange lane assignment coming through from him. He's just going to channel the reset, maybe if that fight were to extend a little bit further forward here. You know, Unicorns Olaf, they had the right idea. They think, okay, we can make a play in the top side at the same time other members are resetting, but every single time they go for something, Splyce and Xerxe, they're ready to react. Well, ultimately, they are able to Realm Orb out of here. Without that spell, this goes much, much worse for them, as the level lead was definitely in favor of Splyce.
And now that Olaf's level 6, I don't think he's ever losing a trade to Elise ever again. Just ult through that cocoon with challenging smite. Remember, it's chilling smite on the opposite side. So 1v1's just already horrendously in favor of the Olaf, even more Olaf favored with the smite difference. And Vizicsacsi is no longer scared of this top lane matchup. Camille's stepped away from the TMF build path briefly just to buy a bit of health.
It's interesting how aggressively AHaHaCiK is playing around this mid lane, really trying to get things done. He knows bottom lane is pushing very heavily. Xerxe
has read literally every play this game.
It's unreal.
Can just ult. Not going to do it yet. No damage items yet from Ryze. Mana, of course, will provide him with a bit there, but has not finished the Roa. Has not finished the Archangels.
This is why so many people praise Xerxe, though. While not every game is a montage of him getting kills early on, you see how he just absolutely reads unicorns like a book. And we talked about this earlier. He's so vocal on this team. He's always calling for wards for, you know, laners to come and collapse and help make punishment happen on towards AHaHaCiK. And that's something we saw throughout the first 2 games, was AHaHaCiK getting punished through very smart response plays by Xerxe. This game, though, it's all about Xerxe playing on the offensive and getting in enemy territory.
Locked down there onto Norskeren. He's forced to flash away. Edward, though, now in trouble. Kobbe ults in the exchange, pulls it back, though. They still have wave priority here. The Elise is going to have to back off because the Olaf is coming in. Looks like they might be able to grab another plate on that one. And Vizicsacsi going in for the 1v1, turning mini at the optimum time just to make sure Boss can never get access to that wave.
Chachi did just get access to TP. Humanoids is going to be up soon as well, which will give them a lead on the top side of the map specifically. So they can continue to make plays on this bottom side as Vizicsacsi wins solo that top lane, now up to about 46. That's almost double the CS of Boss at the moment, even after some early moves from AHaHaCiK up towards that top lane. While Boss will cash in on a lot of that, you can just see the state of the map is in disrepair for Unicorns. Every single lane is winning as now Humanoid teleports himself into the top lane as they continue to deny Boss.
1,500 individual gold deficit for Boss. 2 levels, almost 3, as Vizicsacsi just continues to get more and more resources. Proxying the wave, moving in, breaking down more tower plates. This is absolute destruction.
It's how you display dominance, right, Dracos? And for a team like Splyce, they've been waiting so long for recognition, I felt. Because for a long, long time, they've been a middle-of-pack team. This year, they said, okay, we built this team around Kobbe and Xerxe. We can make something happen. And they waited, you know? In the spring split, it was the top 3 teams very clearly, and Splyce finished 4th. In the summer, it was top 2 with them in 3rd. Now they make a play themselves.
Humanoid running in. Has the ultimate available. Second stack going to do so much damage. Edward running for his life, but that Olaf is unstoppable. Humanoid will give nothing back in exchange as the binding goes wide. Unicorns of Love simply cannot catch a break.
It's just that, whoa, Boss going deep.
Wall extends the range. They're desperate to kill Norskeren. They finally get something, but Humanoid might step forward for more. In the end, he's going to walk away from that one. Does not want to take the risk. Can't afford to give over that shutdown.
Take everything you can get right here. They got to make sure they can pick up the minions on the opposite side of the map. You know, in theory, Unicorns have some scaling options with Ryze and the Camille and side lanes, but ultimately in the team fight's never going to be an easy task for them up against the composition that Splyce has put together. And as we were saying, Splyce, always a team coming into games and having to prove themselves. So many times, people do not believe in this squad, but you can't help believe in a player like Humanoid in a game like this, just running straight on into enemy territory.
And looking for redemption after game 1 and finding it. Admittedly, this play, Edward with a good stopwatch to make it out, but this is really the only sign of life we've seen from Unicorns of Love so far this game. Every other play has gone against them, but at least they're able to take out Norskeren. Of course, always the scaling factor with a Ryze on their side. But at 12 minutes, when the gold lead is this large, it does feel actually pretty done and dusted for Splyce. Of course, they do have to close.
TP behind.
Very hard, and now it's Vizicsacsi level 10, running for his life, building up rage. I don't think they want to take this fight. Nomanz could be enough to get this one going, but if he turns Mega before they kill him, it will fall against him. Does not connect on the boomerang there. He is just going to get burned through. 4 members is enough to kill Vizicsacsi. He will get knocked down, but in the meantime, Humanoid grabbing the remaining plates on that tower. 1 goes down, should look to get 3 before they fall.
Now look at ball lane, Innaxe caught out, no support around him, he's in trouble.
Locked down, tries to get away, tries to get something back. Kobbe, though, merciless. They're going to take him out. They're going to grab another tower play for themselves. Herald now used mid. I didn't even see that one taken. Splyce going to try to break the mid lane tower. Boss getting a few plates back. It's not going to make up for the massive CS discrepancy as Splyce will break down bot lane tower, and even more gold goes into the back pocket of Kobbe.
I mean, just take a look at the minimap right now. Look at how deep those control wards are from Splyce. You got one on the enemy blue buff. You got one on the inner top lane tower. You're going to be able to track Unicorn so well in a game like this. Top lane, though, is going to be the point that Unicorns continue to try to attack. Because you can't attack bot lane, you can't attack mid lane, you can't attack jungle. They all are way too safe of champions. So you must continue to look towards this top side of the map, continue to force. Because Splyce are just taking every other objective. The kills are all you can have.
They're trying desperately to set up here on Vizicsacsi, a little bit more rage.
14 plates to 2, Dracos.
Again, Gnar, something that they have to respect. Trying to outmaneuver this one, needs to dodge the cocoon. They knock him into the wall. He flashes away, needs to get more rage. Trying to transform, does not get the chance. Enough burst from the side of Unicorns of Love to make sure that he gets taken down. They'll grab the tower as well, but meanwhile in the mid lane, Splyce are already in position to get advantages back in their favor.
Innaxe taking the long way around. They're going to lose this tower, most definitely. The Unicorns continue to find these picks. That's what they have to do, and it's actually a large reason why I felt like they were able to make some headway back in game number 1. Now, we saw Splyce change their tune in game 2 and stop actually playing the entire map. Just group up as a team. If you're stronger than your opponents and you are concerned about potentially getting exploited on opposite sides, stop going 1-3-1. Just go for a 1-4 or just a 5 right down a lane, walk into the enemy jungle, and continue to press your vision deeper and deeper. And then there's a lot less room for error. It's harder to blow the game wide open, but certainly less room for your opponents to come back.
I mean, when you've got a lead like this, you can 1-3-1, you can group a team fight, you can pretty much do anything. Except for leave your Gnar alone versus 4 people.
But even then, they're getting objectives, Draco, so it's still
true.
worth.
And I think the thing is, naturally the person I want to keep my eyes on the opposite side for Unicorns of Love is Nomanz. Always scaling picks, has a Ryze, can still be a late game, massive late game threat for the team. Needs to get there, but Roa, you know, you've got the tier as well, scaling up, stacking up, looking towards that Archangels. Probably cannot afford to take a full-on 5v5, but as the Olaf starts to fall off as we get towards the 2-3 item mark, the Ryze is certainly going to take off.
And it's about keeping him alive on the backline when the inevitable dive of Olaf, Gnar, and Akali reach for Nomanz and Innaxe. Boss also trying to jump away himself right there. And I do like this move. Binding does land. That's good luck.
Fishing on Humanoid. They have locked him down. No matter how many dashes away he has, he's still spotted out by the Ignite. Forced to burn everything there in the retreat except for the major cooldown in Flash.
Fun interaction there, of course, between Morgana and the Shroud from Akali. Will reveal after a few patches ago that was changed. So Edward was able to see Humanoid even inside of a Shroud, but it wasn't enough to keep up with all the mobility that the Akali does have. Still has Flash, by the way, so it was going to be fine regardless. AHaHaCiK, probably not.
Running, goes up in the air. There's nowhere for him to come down, and that means that he will... Wow, absolutely sniped. Ooh, good buffer there from Boss. Of course, if the tethers are in the air on that hook shot, even if you get CC'd and they hit the wall, they will still pull you in.
Yep, got to attack them after it hits the wall, and then you can force them out of it. Now, Boss going deep.
Chachi, Mini-Gnar's about to come out. He's going to be a lot squishier. He's locked up. Nomanz is coming in here as well, but Kobbe is just murdering absolutely everyone. They walked right into Splyce. They thought they had the advantage, but Kobbe now running in for more. Kobbe is absolutely fearless. He wants to close this one out. He knows things went wrong in game 1, but he's turning it around here in game 3. A rampage for Splyce's main man.
Kobbe looks like he took something they said personally right there, going right over the wall, finding all those kills while Humanoid continues the push down bottom. And AHaHaCiK, you just don't have the damage.
This doesn't go up.
Come down. Yeah.
Here comes the axe.
Come right back.
They're going to let him live.
This time. But you tell your friends, don't do it again.
Wait. I don't think you win this. The Olaf is very strong. They're going to try to burst down Norskeren. The snare, not going to land. Norskeren now running hookshot wall dive. They will be able to grab Norskeren. Good pickoff from Unicorns of Love. Very brave. Did not have perfect information on the enemy team. Could have gone wrong for them.
I actually think you need to take those chances, though. Even though, like, that could just end the game. I mean, Baron's not up, so a couple deaths there probably not going to cost it. We'll watch this play one more time, because
it looks so good at first.
It does look good, but then Kobbe's over the wall. He's like, you can't hit me, I can hit you instead. Nomanz has absolutely nowhere to go, and then he really chases him down. This is where he gets angry. Even using the flash, not quite able to connect it, but it doesn't matter. He's got the items.
You won't like him when he's angry, Ender. Scary, scary man, that Kobbe. 2 items now. Innaxe just got his IE. Not ideal.
Right.
Maybe can start to poke out, and Well-placed Caitlyn ult will tickle Vizicsacsi.
He's going to need a lot more than an IE before he starts doing damage.
It's true. People talk about the Caitlyn power trough, but usually you're so far ahead in lane it balances out. And in this case, there's no balancing.
Dragos, this whole game has been a Caitlyn power trough. Splyce made sure of that.
It's very true.
From level 1, map split against them. They're dove while Morgana is still level 1 underneath the tower. Lose 2 members, teleport back, can't pick up all the minions. It was just a very well early game executed plan from Splyce, and we expected it in the draft, and I can't help feel but cheated a little bit from Unicorns, who tried to avoid the Olaf instead of perhaps fighting, but obviously going to be a difficult tax against that level 1 from Splyce.
Just stepping forward, just poking, goes invisible, knows Edward has to commit the ult if he wants to see him. Just taking a lot out of those health bars, and they're just walking down mid lane. It is 19 minutes, and they are looking to break open an inhibitor tower. No Baron needed. Good news is they can clear the wave. Boss threatening with the hook shot, but will not wall dive in. It's a 10k lead at 19 minutes.
That's a big one. And now all you have to do, probably wait for the Baron buff. You have a Mountain Drake. You have full control over the jungle. Pick that up, and then the easiest play when you're playing against a Caitlyn is just avoid the traps. Walk down mid, she places all 5, you go top lane. She's like, okay, well, now I'm not so useful as a champion. Wasn't going to be too useful anyways, though.
Ender, normally we talk about Splyce mid-game, we talk about kind of hiccups, but I don't want to put this particular mid-game on their shoulders.
Look,
because the game is naturally going to slow down until they get a Baron, because they're just so hilariously far ahead that the only way for them to move the game forward other than taking a Baron is diving inhib towers, and they're not that. I mean, they probably are that far ahead, but that's a huge risk.
Dragos, we're already in late game for Splyce. That's how far ahead they are. They've got 40k gold at 20 minutes. That is a lot. Of course, that's just naturally going to mask any potential weakness here. Of course, we want to see Splyce now set up for the Baron themselves. They have Humanoid in bottom lane to exert a little bit of pressure. No one can really fight against him.
That's a 4k difference.
Yeah, you noticed that too?
Carries.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, all right.
What about those supports, though? 2k for Norskeren.
Making that money, boy.
Making it rain.
All right, Norskeren. I feel like it's still difficult for them to start this Baron up. It's very easy. They have a single mountain. Maybe they can just shred through it, but they don't want to take the risk.
They've been burned at Baron before, Dragos.
Oh, fantastic binding, though. Will force Xayah into Mega Gnar. Would have liked to just sit on the edge of that rage bar to make sure the follow-up fight, he could have it on demand.
I like this move from Splyce. Fully push up mid lane. Because all these towers are down, you can then go and deny all the vision inside of the enemy jungle.
Oh, flash forward, and AHaHaCiK in trouble. Jungler now dead. Boss stepping forward. Still just fall right back down. AHaHaCiK drops. That should be access to the Baron for Splyce if they want it, but they may look to break mid instead.
Splyce don't let him out this time. This time they're going to knock him down. Tower already very low. They don't have a minion wave, though. I actually think they should just run back towards the Baron or look for a solo kill. Why not?
Trying to style. Dangerously close to having that fall. Very flat. Flash in. Nomanz absolutely outplayed in that exchange there. Has the Seraph shield, has the black shield. The shutdown now comes in. Vizicsacsi now in trouble. Splyce have overstayed their welcome. The Gnar is not going to go mega, but he will go straight to the grave. And Nomanz is still alive. He's healing, he's ticking, he's burning. He refuses to die. And now it's Kobbe versus the world. And luckily for Splyce, when all else fails, Kobbe is the rock for this team, and he will not give up his life in the play.
Unicorns of Love get 3 kills right there, but for what? Splyce just picked a AHaHaCiK. What are they doing flashing under inhibitor towers trying to find flashy solo kills when a Baron is right there? They killed the enemy jungler. How do you not just take that? Instead, going for the kills here on towards Nomanz. Humanoid tracks him underneath the tower, so can't go for the kill. And then watch this from Xerxe. He misses the Q and then goes in anyways.
Yeah. I don't know if Xerxe ticked over right in that instant. I don't know if he forgot to check the items. That was not the play that they wanted. Humanoid now on the run on the top side of the map. The remaining members of Splyce nowhere nearby to provide support. But it won't be necessary. Sadly for Splyce, they have burned their TP. Good news for Splyce, they're still 10k in the lead. They're still very much in control of this game. And they can, sadly for Unicorns of Love, afford to make big mistakes like that. It does not cost them anything. So they now move into the Baron pit. 5k and dropping. This one most certainly will drop down. Edward now just going to get picked off and killed. He tries to flash out to safety. Boss now trying to finish that kill off. Baron has dropped for Splyce in the meantime as Boss fishes for the 1v1, and Caitlyn's going to get the shutdown onto Akali. Still the Baron for Splyce. Still a 10k gold lead, but a lot of small mistakes.
Splyce should, by all accounts, win this game. But Innaxe has now gotten just 2 shutdowns. He's now just 1 level behind Kobbe as opposed to the 2.5 that he was earlier. And he's making money. You know, we said it was 4K difference earlier in the game. Now it's less than 3K, Dracos. And, you know, as we go further and further into the game and he continues to catch up and pick up a lot of minions and experience, we do have to look out for that. Now, there's another time Edward looks like he gets caught with the TP coming through. Humanoid will end up dropping there.
Mid lane, Kobbe locked up, shut down!
I actually can't believe it.
I can't believe I'm at a... Unicorns of Love are suddenly very much looking to shrink this gold lead. They're now moving into the mid lane. Kobbe is dead. The consistent damage, the consistent wave clear is gone for the side of Splyce. Maybe they fish for a fight here. Maybe they try to get something back, but I think they just give up this tower instead. The gold lead will finally start to shrink. As UOL break down the mid-tier 1. Really, really bad back from Boss, though. May cost his life. The hookshot wall dive is getting run down. Now the retreat comes back. High risk there from Boss. Luckily, the team responds. Will pull away as well. High risk from Nomanz. Everyone just taking very risky backs right now.
Everyone needs to chill out. But, okay, take a moment to look at this. 3 items completed for Nomanz. The late game carry insurance we were talking about for the Unicorns of Love. Minus 1,200 gold Baron power play. They were up 10K. The base is still exposed here after that mid lane tower did fall, but...
Still have a minute 40 left on the Baron. Xerxe and Norskeren both still have it up and available. One of them should go top lane to help those minions, probably.
So you see these traps in the mid lane, this is what I was sort of talking about. You can push up mid lane. Now all these traps are put on cooldown from Innaxe, can then try to transition that top. Unfortunately, they're a little late on that play, so they can't actually siege this tower. And now stepping forward through this corridor is a little bit difficult.
Innaxe wants to get in range, hit some of those guaranteed headshots off the trap proc. Boss, though, finally with Tiamat can start to clear out this wave. Vizicsacsi not quite as strong as he once was in the early laning phase. The rest of the team now coming in. AHaHaCiK just doing what he can, mostly just a cocoon bot at this stage. Vizicsacsi on the way to Mega. Maybe that could be the fight kickoff, and you can see Humanoid still looking for an opportunity to go in there on the back of the Shuriken flip.
Yeah, I don't think Splyce can actually use this to siege forward here. I'm waiting, but they're splitting up all 3 lanes at the moment, not committing to just one to try and walk it in and get those last autos down on a tower. Now bottom lane with the range on Gnar, they should be able to knock this one through, as there's no minions in mid lane though.
Innaxe stepping forward to try to poke Kobbe, it looks like. Tower should fall. Can they stay for the inhibitor as well? Binding now used by Edward. Xerxe running into the mid lane, trying to get something. Nomanz there. He could look for the 1v1. The rest of Splyce going to settle for just a bot lane inhibitor. Baron 6 seconds left. Maybe they can stick around. They have a massive lead. There is no tower there, yet Splyce are not willing to take the risk.
Splyce have righted the course now with that inhibitor. Mid lane still exposed, so can continue to look for that, as for the next few minutes, those super minions are going to be funneling down in towards that bottom lane. Still need to do something about these traps, though, because it is really hard when you bunch up in those tight corridors to actually walk forward and siege the tower.
It's an update. That was the 3rd worst Baron power play at Worlds so far. Not ideal for the team. The traps, though, fading away. Innaxe will throw down a few more, holding on to the mid lane for now.
And now because Nomanz has finished off that Void Staff, he can cut through Vizicsacsi a whole lot more easily, who itemized heavy for that MR. Not going to be effective really at all against a Camille in a side lane, so he more than likely wants to match up against Ryze, but I think that is a losing matchup. So as we mentioned earlier in draft, the side lanes are going to become less and less favorable for Splyce as the game does drag on, but now that they do have that added pressure of super minions down bottom lane, they can use that to effectively waste the time of a boss or of a Nomanz as they try to set up for any future sieges. But this might just be a situation where they wait for that next Baron buff to spawn, and of course super minions will still be spawning down bottom lane when that does come up.
And their 3rd Cloud kill will reveal an Infernal for the next Drake, which will help them as they move later, match out some of the scaling the Ryze brings to the table. 3.5 items for Nomanz. Happy to have gotten this far in the game, I have to imagine. Splyce looked very much on the cusp of closing it out pre-25 minutes. But now it appears we're in for a much longer game. Important to remember that no matter how good the last few plays have looked for the Unicorns of Love, that a single lost fight at this stage of the game should end it in the favor of Splyce.
Right, that's the thing. Unicorns are going to have to continue and fight after fight, play this long con stall type game, where Splyce really just need a Baron. I think Baron could lock in a victory for them, assuming, of course, they can use that siege down, which you would expect them to be able to.
Humanoid waiting off onto the side lane. You can see he's no longer walking face first into the Ryze, giving a lot of respect over to Nomanz. Nomanz has the TP, Boss, Innaxe as well. Kobbe opting for the combat summoner. We'll have to see if it costs his team anything.
So one thing that Unicorns have done pretty consistently when trying to check in towards Baron Vision when they don't have it, they actually split up. One person will go down through the Raptor Bush, the other one will go above, and a lot of times Splyce love to catch the player that goes above. A lot of times that is going to be Edward as well, so I think Unicorns need to be a little bit smarter in how they approach those tight corridors and not isolate individual members if they don't want to get picked off before this does spawn. Always going to be a difficult task, though, when you don't have any vision inside of the jungle. It's just a guessing game. When do you pull the trigger and risk losing your life and try and make sure you have eyes on the Baron? They do have double blue trinket they need to use.
One going to be used. TP now coming in. Nomanz coming into the fight. Splyce just going to pull back. Vizicsacsi will not be caught out.
It's actually a really clever adaptation. That's 4 blue trinkets on the side of the Unicorns of Love. They know that they are isolated to their base, so regular yellow trinkets are going to be practically useless. They need this deep vision if they are to see it on the Baron. Boss, the only other member with one, though, and he's not with the team, so Splyce will be able to start this one up without any vision on it.
Nomanz TP. Just going to go straight into the middle of the pit. They're not going to be scared. They're not going to be bullied off. And AHaHaCiK. Now Chachi goes in, and AHaHaCiK still waiting over the wall. 3K left on the hell. They're not going to get anything. Kobbe cutting through the team. Splyce now on a rampage as Humanoid jumps onto the backside of the fight. Edward trying desperately to lock up Humanoid. Boss now goes in, wants to finish someone out, but Kobbe still has ult. A double kill for him. Humanoid fishing for a few more. It's going to be 2 for him. It's going to look like 3. Edward now running for the hills, and this is going to be the end for the side of Splyce. It wasn't the cleanest finish, but when it mattered most, Splyce show up. They close out the game. They will move up to match point at the end of this one, despite the shakeups in the mid-game. They were dominant from start to finish, a massive lead that Unicorns of Love never conquered. As a result, Splyce will take game 3 and move up to match point. And Splyce looking progressively more dominant as the series has gone on. But the fans of Unicorns and the fans of Edward will not let that stop them.
Splyce continue to come in with very strong early game plans. Helmed by Xerxe, I think this team has proved that they are the significantly better team in terms of snowballing games and getting early advantages. I think that in this one in particular, they came with a very clear idea of how to deal with this Caitlyn Morgana in the bottom lane. And ultimately, I was very impressed with especially those first 15 minutes. I think that this team really did dominate. And I expect to see more of these moves coming through from this team, because if you can just snowball super heavily early on, it puts you in a much better position to try and close.
And I think you see the theoretical, or you talk a lot about the theoretical output of an Olaf pick. This is something that I think so many teams fall short of. I'm not always happy to see an Olaf locked in because of how hard it falls off. But in a game like that, and a game where you dominate from start to finish, where you do use that early game strength in your favor, you can't deny how effective this pick is, how scary this pick is. Even if it's not the choice that jumps into your brain when you think of what exactly Xerxe is going to bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the ability to go for that split map and play off the jungle timers of invades and try and just take all the camps from your opponents, definitely gives you a lot more options. This is going to be the Baron fight one more time. And this is what I was sort of talking about before it happened, where they split up Unicorns of Love. They split up how they come over towards this Baron, and then Vizicsacsi says, I'm going straight over the wall, finds both Nomanz and Innaxe. Doesn't land the stun onto Nomanz, but it doesn't really matter because Nomanz flashes straight into the face of Humanoid's Akali. So this was the turn we were waiting for. They weren't quite able to find that full team fight they needed, primarily because Unicorns were sticking in their base for so long, and Splyce really just needed that massive neutral objective to lure that 5-man stack of UOL in to get that initiation.
Yeah, and clutch play from Vizicsacsi to go over the wall to lock up 2 of those carries. And sadly for Edward on the side of Unicorns of Love, Black Shield is an ability that is not lived by the mantra of better late than never. It's on time or not very effective. But Splyce, of course, have bounced back in style, and they are just 1 win away from groups. We're going to have to see if they can close things out right after this.
Splyce gonna be looking for the dive. They have a lot of damage.
All he has is pool. He levels up there, though. Maybe this can be it. Edward flashing backwards. Still looks like he's going to go down. That's first blood locked up, though. Innaxe, they're trying to fish for a kill. Kobbe might just get taken out. It's good juggling of tower aggro. Trying to outmaneuver this one. Needs to dodge the cocoon. They knock him into the wall. He flashes away. Needs to get more range. Trying to transform. Does not get the chance. Xayah, Mini Gnar's about to come out. He's going to be a lot squishier. He's locked up. Nomanz is coming in here as well. But Kobbe is just murdering absolutely everyone. Has the Seraph shield. Has the black shield. The shutdown now comes in. Vizicsacsi now in trouble. Splyce have overstayed their welcome. The Gnar is not going to go mega, but he will go straight to the grave. Now Xayah goes in, and AHaHaCiK still waiting for the wall. 3k left on the health. They're not going to get anything. Kobbe cutting through the team. Splyce now on a rampage as Humanoid jumps onto the backside of the fight. Edward trying desperately to lock up Humanoid. Boss now goes in, wants to finish someone out, but Kobbe still has ult. As a result, Splyce will take game 3 and move up to match point.